Hello, today we have two interesting stories. First story. Title: My vegan girlfriend wants me to get rid of my cat. I've been seeing my girlfriend for about 8 months now. She's wonderful and we really click in many ways. She's a dedicated vegan and emphasized early on how essential it was that her partner shared her views on animal rights. As someone who mostly ate fish, it wasn't too hard for me to adopt a completely plant-based diet. My girlfriend appreciated my switch to veganism, and we soon became known as the vegan duo at our university. Then there's my cat, Whiskers, whom I've cherished for over 2 years. She's incredibly affectionate and playful. Initially, my girlfriend seemed uneasy around her, attributing it to her lack of exposure to cats as a child. Eventually, we quietly decided to mostly spend time at her place, so discussions about Whiskers became rare. As the pandemic unfolded, my girlfriend and I grew closer and started contemplating our future together. We discussed moving in together or purchasing a place. However, as we delved into these plans, my girlfriend confronted me with a shocking demand. She stated that for us to move forward together, I would need to rehome Whiskers. She argued that keeping a cat contradicts vegan values because they are natural predators and eat meat, and that pet ownership itself breaches vegan ethics. I was floored. I explained that giving up Whiskers was out of the question, especially since she must eat meat, and I try to minimize harm by choosing ethical pet food brands. Many vegans I know own pets and share this perspective. My girlfriend became upset, questioning the morality behind the quantity of meat Whiskers consumes and the implications of that. Our conversation escalated, and I left feeling frustrated after she tried to influence me with a Reddit thread that supported the eradication of domestic cats. Although heartbroken, I know I won't part with Whiskers. It's disheartening to consider that an otherwise great relationship might end over this ideological conflict. I'm confused by her stance since many vegans successfully keep cats. I understand that if I were initially vegan, I might not have adopted a cat, but Whiskers is here now, and she has dietary needs. I've even looked into vegan options, which my vet advised against due to her sensitive stomach. I've discussed this with other vegan friends, and they think my girlfriend is being unreasonable. Some suggest she might be looking for a way out. They're surprised we haven't split, but I value what we have too much to let go without trying to find a solution. Update. First off, a huge thanks to everyone who shared their thoughts. I'm still trying to process the sheer scale of the feedback. Although I couldn't read everything, I did my best to go through as many comments as possible. I'd like to start this update by acknowledging something many pointed out. My ex-girlfriend's strict stance on domestic cats does not reflect the views of the entire vegan/vegetarian community. It's worth noting that sometimes, individuals new to veganism can be somewhat over-enthusiastic. Generally, most of us are simply striving to cause the least harm to animals possible. I never imagined my post would spark such a large debate. So, as you might guess, we decided to part ways. I could never consider giving up my beloved cat, Whiskers. Several commenters suggested that the issue was more about control than veganism, and in retrospect, I can see instances of controlling behavior from her. I might have been oblivious before. I phoned my ex-girlfriend to clearly state that giving up Whiskers was not an option for me, and given our recent troubles and differing beliefs, it was best we split. I told her she deserved someone who aligns more closely with her values. When I confirmed we were breaking up, she was initially upset, but overall, the conversation went smoother than anticipated. That's the update. Thanks again for all the support. Second story. Title: Am I the A for leaving an event after my fiancé introduced me as a bookkeeper? I, F43, am engaged to a man, M53, who is a retired military officer. I own a thriving business that I launched 8 years ago, which now employs a tight-knit team of 25. I financed my education by working full-time, earning my degrees in accounting and business management from both a community college and a university in my early 30s. I am immensely proud of my educational journey and my debt-free status. Here's a bit more about my background. I diligently worked my way through school while holding down full-time jobs. My educational path started at a community college before I transferred to a 4-year university, taking just 2 classes each semester. It took time, but achieving my degrees was a significant accomplishment for me. Despite some playful comments about community college not equating to a university, I value the excellent education I received at both institutions. Before starting my own company, I worked as an accountant for several major firms, and also gained experience in programming and IT. Now, my company provides specialized support to both large and small businesses. I handle most of the sales, contracts, and a portion of the consulting. My sister, who is indispensable, works as my office manager. My fiancé and I were together before I established my business, and we've just gotten engaged. However, one issue persists: he consistently introduces me as a bookkeeper. While I respect all professions, this title doesn't reflect my role or achievements. I've repeatedly asked him in private to stop minimizing my accomplishments by using this label, suggesting he could introduce me as a consultant instead. At a recent event, while networking with a potential client, he referred to me as having come a long way for a bookkeeper. Embarrassed, I excused myself and left the event early. I informed him via text that I had gone home and that we would discuss this later. He believes I'm overreacting. My family views his behavior as disrespectful and controlling. Although he appears supportive when we're alone, his public demeanor suggests otherwise, often treating me as if I'm less experienced, like a novice among professionals. He also has a tendency to talk down to me in front of my family, which he passes off as joking, though it's becoming increasingly hard to dismiss. Update. After taking a few days, I had a conversation with him. He insisted that I am fortunate to have him and should heed his advice more and not overreact. This attitude, coupled with everyone's responses, led me to end things with him. I need someone who is proud of and cares for me. My family celebrated the decision by popping open some champagne. Final update. Had another talk with my former fiancé. Now that he had time to control his emotions, he was ready to move past the issue. I just laughed and assured him that my emotions and I were just fine. I informed him about the post and suggested he read the responses, which did not please him. I assured him no names were mentioned, just generic pronouns. And now, the really astonishing part, he asked what I would compensate him for his contributions to my company. After recovering from the initial shock, I handed him $1 and walked away. I told my family about it, and my brothers were keen to have a talk with him. I assured them I'd handled it and showed them the symbolic $1. We all had a good laugh, then went out to buy more champagne. I absolutely adore my family.